And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host, Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me tonight is my co-host, everyone's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the Gibby Gamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
Choking up because of the
Yeah,
gorgeous
I got a little
co-host
choky.
you
I,
got
I
there.
almost coughed. That's why I was like, damn.
Nice to be here. Good to see you again. And
There you go.
welcome to Mr. Stuka Joe, the
Yes,
legend.
our special guest tonight is Stuka Joe. We do not have Kev. He is off moving his kids, so they can't move themselves apparently. So need Dad to do all the work.
Well, thanks, Mo and Nate, for having me. It's always a pleasure to come to your show. It's great to be with you guys.
It's always great to have you on too, Joe. We're going to be talking about content creation.
What's that?
It's a subject that's very near and dear to all our hearts, and especially with war games. I know there's a bunch of different hobby game channels out there for you name it, any type of game that's out there. But I think war game content creation's different in many ways because there's a lot less bells and whistles. Except for you, you're the king of the bells and whistles and making it really cool.
I'm just bells and whistles, nothing else.
No, but you have really blended using technology in interesting ways to engage people when they're watching, which is really key. And that's one of the things that people don't realize with war games versus hobby games. Like when you watch a hobby games, there's a lot of the bells and whistles. You watch these things, a lot of cool graphics, everything else, and the content. I think it's done really to kind of fill in the gaps in the content because the game itself that they're covering usually is not too, I don't know, it's not as catchy, whereas a war game's more involved. So to keep people interested, you got to be a little more engaging, and that's where your narration is fantastic. The stuff you do with your technology is just fantastic as well. It really does bring people in, especially when you do different camera angles and things like that all together, especially when you do it live. I think that's even cooler.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. It's been doing this for what, since 2013, so that's 10 years. So a lot of stuff that works and doesn't work. So to get there, I suppose.
You're actually one of the ones, I know I've said this to you before, you're one of the ones that got me started doing this. Because when I was first getting into wargaming, before I even had a channel, there was no one to watch, right? There was you, there was Marco, and there was Callendale. And I think that was it.
That was Joe Stedman, I think, was there. Also, Joe Stedman did a couple of videos. There was a guy, really good guy from Australia. Forget his name. He did some really fantastic edited videos, but then he disappeared. I forget his name. I used him in he was one of the B-17 bomber crew in the original, but I forgot. I just forgot his name now. Yeah, but there were very few people, and actually it was Marco and Callendale basically that inspired me. I said, let me try this out. So I did one full session of Lion of Ethiopia. That's a magazine game from Command Magazine. All 24 turns. It's still there. It takes about 2 hours and 10 minutes. And then I got some great feedback, and I said, hey, this is kind of fun. So
I got to ask you, just out of curiosity, because I've done this myself. Have you ever gone back and looked at stuff that you made, 8 years ago and just thought to yourself, wow, this is crap. What was I doing? I look at some of my first videos when I was using crappy equipment, bad lighting, and all that type stuff. And I was like, man, this is horrible. It's like I should delete it, but like, no, I put it up back years ago. I'll leave it up. But it's horrible compared to what I do now. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's the great thing is that there's always room for improvement, and I think the war gamers are very supportive because I think they appreciate that war games are different from regular games because of what you said, Mo. The devil's in the details. You got to talk about modifiers. You got to talk about terrain features and stuff. There's the little details that we like to get into, and the history. So I think people have been very encouraging. I have subscribers from day one, these people show up in my live stream. They're the same people that subscribed to me like in the first year.
Wow.
So they're still around.
No, that's pretty fantastic. That speaks to your engagement with your audience and how people have stuck around and still show up for, shows. It's one thing to have a subscription and then they drop off YouTube or they just ignore the subscription things unless they get in the mood. But when you have a live show or something like that and they jump in after all these years, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. That speaks a lot to the effort you put into your videos and the engagement you have with your audience.
Oh, no, definitely, and it's I mean, it's for them that you do the content, right? But also you want to do content that you enjoy, because you're not going to do something you don't enjoy. So it's a really great experience. I think we're war gamers, but our hobby is different from just wargaming. It takes into account a lot of other things that sometimes people are not aware of until they try out, hey, let me see if I can do a video of these, and then you go, holy crap.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you see a lot of people, one of the things that people want to see all the time is playthroughs. And the reason they want to see playthroughs is a combination of a couple things. Number one, some people don't want to read the rules. They want to watch someone else play it and then learn from watching the video. Some people want to see how a rule works because they've read it, but they're not getting it. Or they have questions on, am I doing this right? And then they see it done, they're like, okay, so I was right the way I was interpreting it. And then there are other people that just want to sit there, read it, and go, no, wrong. On page 3, paragraph 4, line 2, word 6, this is the proper word, not the one you used. It's like they're rules lawyering a video. It's like,
No, and you get that comment like 7 years after you did the video. Like,
yeah,
like if I remember the game at all.
exactly.
I have people who will do that. They'll ask me questions, and it's been 5 years since I uploaded the video, and they're quoting some rule, and it's like, well, I thought it was this, what do you think? And I'm like, dude, I am not going to pull this game out and relearn it just to answer the question. Sorry, if I made a goof there, my bad, but you're just going to have to live with it. Sorry, I got 100 other things I'm thinking about that's not just, can you move 3 hexes instead of 2?
I mean, the overwhelming majority of people that are watching the video are supportive of the effort. They're willing to overlook the errors, and just realize that, hey, you know what? I feel better. He messed up the rule too, and I was messing up rules, because we all mess up rules. All war gamers do. There is not a war gamer alive that plays a war game through the first time 100% correctly right.
No way.
I've never met that person yet. No. So I'm sure there are some people that will claim that, but unless it's like, let me explain. As long as it's not a war game that is like a postcard with like 4 rules, that anybody can learn in 5 seconds. I mean, I'm talking a war game with multiple pages of rules. A standard war game.
The other day I pulled out Israeli Independence, the first ever States of Siege game, even though it doesn't have that name in the packaging, but that's the first one. That's the simplest States of Siege game. I managed to screw it up.
It happens. It happens. We all make mistakes. I mean, I've done it numerous times. Just, I'm reading the rule. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's how it is. And then I play it, and then I'm like, what was I thinking? That's not how the rule reads. And I read it, and I knew that I read it, correctly, or I thought I read it correctly, and I read it incorrectly, and I've been playing it the whole time wrong. Or I've missed a step because I'm like, oops, wow, this game is really easy. Oh, I'm supposed to reset this thing after every turn. Oh, no wonder it's so easy. And you go back, reset it, and you get your ass kicked by the game. But that's the thing. But there are always those few people that just want to be, I don't know, trolls or whatever. There's
all kinds of people out.
Sure.
But the great thing about playthrough, I think the playthrough is the ultimate review. I'd rather watch somebody play a game a turn, and then I go, hey, that's for me, or I'm going to stay away from that. Because everybody has their tastes. Everybody has specific preferences, and I mean, some people just love tactical games more than strategic games. But if you just play it how it is, and let the viewer decide. That's what I do a lot of extended example of plays in the books first. That the ones in the rule books, you can't screw up the rules unless the rules are wrong in the extended example of play that they are. It happens.
Yeah.
And then I called the designer, and he says, no, that we forgot to amend, to update the extended example of play before pulling. Oh, I noticed. Okay.
Yeah.
But usually they're pretty on spot, and that's something that I actually enjoy doing, is the extended example of play, because you have the narration there, what you have to say, and you put the pictures together, and those are my most popular videos. Are for example, extended example play of what's the block game? Triumph and Tragedy. Like, there's people say they saw the video and it helped me a lot, because one thing is you see a video of how the game is played first, then you read the rules and everything starts clicking in your mind. Oh, that's when he did this. That's what. So it helps to grasp the rules. It's not a substitute, but it helps a lot.
You know, I kind of hate it when that happens with me when I'm doing a playthrough. And, you know, part of the reason I started this is because I was looking up playthroughs and they weren't as prevalent back then. So I was like, oh, you know, I can do that. But then if I make a mistake during one of my playthroughs and someone points it out in the rules or down in the comments, I'll go look it up in the rules and I'm like, shit. Like, it makes perfect sense, like, when they're pointing it out and I'm like, damn, I read that wrong. Shit. And, you know, I feel horrible when I actually make that little goof or a mistake. And I realized way back when I had to let go of the thin skin. Don't let it bother me. I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. If they don't like it, they can go watch, you know, someone else. That's fine. It's not going to, you know, hurt my feelings. But I couldn't take it personally. Otherwise, I'd never survive throwing videos on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to embrace it when you make a mistake. You know, the one I always come back to is when I was doing the NATO playthrough. And in turn 3, I was like, well, this is going to be a short playthrough. I'm only going to get 3 turns because I left my entire flank open. What a dumbass. And I was like, there's no way I can retcon this and go backwards because it's right there in all the pictures. And it's like, and I was like, oh, I'll embrace it. And I did, you know, now I make fun of it and I make fun of myself because of it, because it was a legit screw up. And because I got so wrapped up as the Russian, you know, the Soviet player wanting to break through the middle so much that I just ignored the flanks. And I was like, that actually could happen with, you know, the wrong leaders. If they get out there, they get so concentrated on, now they're never going to attack me. If we keep them on a back foot, they're always going to be reacting, not responding with an aggressive move. And then it's like, well, you leave your entire flanks open. It's like, well, you're going to get housed. And that's what I did to myself. So it was kind of funny.
Yeah, that's part and parcel. I mean, you can correct it, put a note in the comment, but I mean, these games. I'm a firm believer that video has a specific purpose in wargaming. You know, it's not a substitute for the rule book. And the hobby is not watching somebody play a game on video. The hobby is to play the game. So, but the video has a big advantage over the written word in one aspect. For example, if you download the extended example of play of a game. You don't have the game. Download the extended example of play, and you read it. You may catch a lot of things, but they just put pictures at certain intervals. So you have to sometimes imagine a lot of things. But if you do a good video showing that same exact example of play, like if you were in front of the game. It's like if somebody let you borrow the game for a few minutes and go through the example of play, and then you say, yeah, I'll pick it up, or I won't. So I think that I love those extended example of plays when they come really nicely explained. And I go, this could make a nice video. So,
no, it's true. And, you know, the other thing, too, is that's why I started to learn to play stuff, is because, just like you said, it's better to see it than to actually just read a rule book. And obviously it's different. There's not going to be the structure that you get with the examples of play. However, as we move along with it, depends on the designer too, how much they want to be prepared ahead of time to do this. You know, they may just go in and say, okay, I'm going to show you this, 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 and this, and then wing it and do a great job with it. Others will come in more prepared script. So that way they know exactly the points they want to hit on and the exact examples they want to use, because that is something that it's not going to replace the rule book necessarily. Some games it might, for the shorter, easier rules that maybe you play like one of Greg Smith's games. You played one, it's going to be much easier to jump into each one of them after that because they're going to follow the same type of format. So if you watch a video, you're like, oh, I totally understand how this game works because I've played his other games before. So like Tank Ace, you know, it's like, hey, I know this works. I played the other one. So yeah, this makes sense. It's a little bit different, but I get it, you know. And so you watch a 20-minute, 30-minute, an hour-long video, it helps you dig into it a little more, and you get to use that as reinforcement for the written rules.
See, for me, I got to disagree with you on the scripting it. Now, I get what you're saying because I've done that for like preview videos or some Kickstarter videos where I've scripted it out and laid out a specific thing for a purpose. But if I'm doing a playthrough, I do it not blind, but I do it just set up. I set up the game and I actually play the game.
No, I was talking to learn to plays, which are instructional.
Yeah,
that not a playthrough. A playthrough, you just play it through.
Yeah, because I know what you're talking about. Like, someone's doing a playthrough and they're not actually playing it through. They've scripted how it's going to go. And you're not really showing them the game then, because you're not having the random events or whatever is going to actually pop up in the game. And when I do it, I want them to see how it's going to go. That's fine if I got to stop and, cut out a little bit as I read up the rules or whatever it is. But this way, they actually get to see the game in action. The only problem I found is that, what's the best way to say it? It takes away the ability to sound more educated, because you're going to have more as I'm thinking about it, because I don't have a definitive script as I'm going through. I'm just speaking it off the top of my head. I can't match the legend down there who sounds perfect with everything that he says.
For every take that goes well, 3 went south, so don't worry about it. You never hear the ones that I never publish. No, but the thing is with the playthroughs, for example, you read the examples of play. Wendy is the British, and Paul is. I never mention Wendy or Paul. It's the British player or the German player for me. I mean, so I make some changes, and sometimes I paraphrase, because sometimes what's written what's in writing doesn't sound as well as spoken. So sometimes, but you have the moves there one by one, so you just replicate that, and I think it's great. I mean, I end up learning to play the game myself, just sometimes going through the extended example of play.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true.
Extended play is wrong. I'm not going to call them out, but I've got this one game that's just bouncing around in my head because the extended example of play that came.
There's a lot of room to bounce around in there. Let me tell you.
It was butchered bad. It had so many errors in it, and errata, miscounted this, that, and the other. And you actually couldn't use it to learn the game because how many errors were in it.
Wow.
Ask me off screen, I'll tell you, but I don't want to blast them, on camera.
Okay.
Everyone's going to be like, name it now, name it now.
No, they're good people.
But, I mean, mistakes happen and things like that. And you're right, Joe. When you read something, there's a written presentation that you will formulate in your head, and you'll hear your inner voice, and you'll kind of correct it as you're reading it because it sounds a little too formal maybe. And then you just adjust it for the spoken word when you're narrating it and make it a little more conversational, even though it's still narration. But there's a way to make narration more engaging by being a little more conversational. So you actually are talking to the listener, not at the listener. And that's something that's something that I think content creators do better, I think, when they just are more natural than if they try to be a little too formal themselves. Like if they're trying to script something out, you can hear it. It's like they're talking at you. They're pitching you the game or whatever, rather than talking to you as if like we're talking right now. And I think it's important to have that, because that's how you keep your audience engaged and make it interesting and make them want to tune in for more.
Yeah,
I think sometimes the audio sometimes more important than the video, actually.
Yeah,
the video. Yeah, it's because if you don't have anything to say, what are you gonna add pictures to? So it's what you're gonna say, and the way I approach video wargaming is that you have information coming in through 3 channels in a video. You have the narration, right? You have the picture that is on the screen, but you also have the lower thirds, like
you see them now.
You see them now. Sometimes I don't want to say the next take we're going to go to the movement phase. I don't want to say now we go to the movement phase. No, I don't have to say that. You put a lower third, movement phase, so everybody knows in the movement phase, and I just say something else. So in a short amount of time, you can condense more information, which I think is people. I think we have to be very appreciative of the viewer's time, and so if you can condense more information, it's like when you eat a fruit and it has a bunch of juice, and that's the impression that people get is, wow, there's a lot of information here in 15 minutes. And of course, an edited video will do that. But something that really startles me up to this day, how is it that Eurogamers can do some great edited videos and war gamers like shy away from it when we have the more complicated rule books? And
that's why. The games are more. The games, a standard Euro game or a standard hobby game, you can be taught in a few minutes. Within 5 to 15 minutes. The gameplay itself is 5 to 15 minutes, maybe up to an hour. The average game. Now there are some others that are longer, but a lot of them are the ones that the more popular hobby games are the ones that are played in less than an hour, generally. Those can be taught, learned, and played very quickly. So you can do a more engaging video because you're not having to keep a lot of rules in your head. You can actually be more colorful in what you're explaining and things like that. Whereas a war game, you got to go, oh, okay, this is turn one. So I can't do this step and this step, but I can start, instead of starting with step one, I start with step 3 on the player aid. So now I got to go through, okay, and how do I, and then next thing you know is you're reading the player aid as you're playing and you're like, okay, I must move this guy. Okay, boom, you move, and it becomes very robotic and kind of, it's far less engaging. That's why being prepared ahead of time in that way does help you. And just relaxing and, like you were saying, do take after take until you get it where it sounds natural. It sounds more enjoyable and more engaging.
Well, think about it this way too, right? There's that series, I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name, but the Watch It Played series.
Yeah, Rodney Smith.
Rodney
Smith. Yeah, he gets tagged on to a lot of games now, Euro-style regular games. And he has videos that are relatively short to learn the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've taken multiple war games, it's like 5 or 6 war games, I've broken down into a set of videos and videoed the entire rule book, right? The boot camp series. And those in no way, shape, or form can actually be put into a single video. All of them. I think Lock and Load Tactical was 65 videos?
Yeah, there was a bunch.
Yeah, to cover just that rule book, and that's without the updates to it. Same for World at War 85 and the other one I'm blanking on, the World War II version of that game. But all those
Nations of War.
Yeah, Nations of War. All those that I've broken down into individual pieces and filmed out with their examples took forever. So it's much harder to actually put a war game into a video form than it is something like a Euro game, because like you were saying, a Euro game is much shorter and much less that you actually have to film and show as an example, versus war games where it's subsection A through Z point 99. There's way more information to actually translate.
Now I know with war games, what I find more useful is, like, instead of doing a video series on a game, which is going to take forever to produce, and also a video format, the referencing it is difficult also. So, for example, take somebody who wants to do a video about zone of control bonds. That concept would be interesting because that's a rules concept in Mark Simonich's games. And you can do a video on a specific topic that people are having trouble with. And that would be probably something that people would be interested. That's some of the projects that I have in mind to do, is taking those rules that, all war games borrow mechanics from others, but there's certain war games that bring a new mechanic, something as their core system, and that showing how that works. I think that can be interesting.
I think to do something like that, what would be, and it would be a great video to do, it would be, first off, you start with, okay, what is a ZOC? What's the zone of control? Okay, and this is how it's been in the standard war games. Then we have Mark Simonich, and he's evolved it to the ZOC bond system, and here's how that works. Boom, you just generic, kind of sterile, here's from the rule book. Now, let's do a comparison of two games like Bulge games side by side and see how the ZOC system and the ZOC bond system, how they are different and how they affect the gameplay, and then show very similar situations and how they would be different from that, and how then you'd of course have to explain in your opinion, why you felt Zachman was better or worse, if you didn't like it, and why. With a good illustrated example. I think that would be really that would be a real interesting video. I think, because it would get a lot of people talking about the merits, the pros and cons of the Zachman system.
Yeah, and you can integrate his designer notes when he talks about what's the purpose, what do the zone of control bonds pursue to represent, because it's a concept that once you learn that, you can play a bunch of his games, and then it's easier to play the game correctly if you understand what the purpose of the rule is.
Yeah. No, it's very true. So up here we had, let me see, I got to get back to it. They wanted you to name it.
Yeah,
Then Tom said, name it later. And then John says, it's a coin game, isn't it?
No. It wasn't a coin game, although I wouldn't be surprised.
And then Charles Latour says, if I do anything, it's usually an AAR. A lot happens in a turn video, and not much. Or if a lot happens in a turn video, not much happening. Maybe every two, three turns. A lot of notes on the plexiglass. If you've not watched any of Charles' videos or seen any of the pictures he posts about them, you'll always notice the guy, like, it looks like you're at the CP. At a military CP, he's got writing all over the plexi, like we would write all over maps back in the day. And it's kind of neat to see the notes he's leaving for himself, the different areas that he's attacking, defending, whatever. He's got the whole system, which is pretty cool. His videos are real interesting, so definitely go check out Charles Latour's channel. If you've not already checked it out, or you're not a subscriber, definitely go do so.
Charles, you got to let me know how you're filming with plexiglass and not getting a severe glare off of it. I've tried it before.
He doesn't use big bright lights.
But all right, not to get totally distracted, but I just cannot get enough light unless I've got it, in there. And it's subdued light. I've got it diffused, so it's not pointing directly at it. But even still, I couldn't keep the glare off. And I love using plexiglass when I can, especially, for paper maps and the like, but no way to film it. And I'm not going to set up a huge war game without actually.
Well, at diffused light, even though it's diffused, you'd probably be better off using bounce and just getting the lights, a white room, and just getting the bounce off the walls.
That's
to get
what I
that
do.
Light, and not use a diffuser, so don't have the lights anywhere near the glass.
There's a trick. There's a trick, guys. There's a trick.
Oh, here we go.
I was going to say, did we lose the color?
There's a trick. Listen, I don't use plexiglass. Who needs plexiglass? I'll show you why. Do you see this game? Does anybody recognize it? Well, there's the box.
It's a Nappy 20 game.
A Nappy 20 game.
20.
And it has a paper map.
There you go.
It has a paper map, right? Mm-hmm. So let's see if you can identify what's holding the paper map to the magnets. This underneath this how do you call it? It went blank. What's the name of this material?
MDF.
Neoprene.
Yeah.
Underneath this neoprene map is a sheet of. This is a surface of. It's a Formica brand magnetic surface. This is magnetic. So if you have a table that is magnetic, then you get magnets. You put them on several parts of your map where they join and stuff. And I use these, and I have a bunch of different magnets. And there's no need for plexiglass. Of course, if you spill a beer or a cup of coffee there, say goodbye to the Napoleonic 20 map. But that is how I don't have to worry about plexiglass, because I just don't use it. But it works great, the magnetic, and it flattens with the magnet, flattens that map too. So because some paper maps they tend to not be flat.
One of the ones that people use, which is a good travel variety of that or assortment of that, would be eyeglass clips. How people have those where they go in the pocket and they clip their glasses to them. It's basically two strips of metal that are magnetized. So you get a couple of those. You put one at the top of the map, because to join the two maps together, you put one at the top join, one at the bottom join, and you've got it clipped. If you go to a con or something like that, if you don't have plexi. So that's a good way to have paper maps where they stick together, similar to what you're using there, except you don't have the magnetized table with you.
Okay, one thing.
I'm always learning stuff from Stuka. Because if I need new ideas, I'll watch some of his videos, see what type of techniques he's using, and, integrate them into what I've got going on.
There's another. I mean, the inexpensive way of doing things. You get one of these magnetic boards, and I recommend if you're going to shoot video, black background. Don't get the white background; it's too distracting. Black background. This is magnetic. For example, we get where is it? We get one of these so you can see. The stuff can stick here. See?
Nice.
It sticks here, and this one, and they come in the sizes are 20. What is it? It's the size. This one is a bigger one, but this is 3 by 4 feet. But there's other ones that fit comfortably a regular 22 by 34 inch mat.
Nice.
Yeah. So and you can get them in Amazon. They're very inexpensive, and you can get them at the magnets there at Amazon. And the good thing, you play it, you stow it away, and then you get it back on the table when you want.
You know what you need to do, Joe? I was going to say, you know what you need to do, Joe, is you need to do a video about this, and then post a link in the thing and get an affiliate link, so that way you get like a nickel every time someone buys one. Then you might get a quarter.
That's not a bad idea, because the way I've got my table set up behind me is an L shape, but I could get some of those to cover across my tables so I can put the maps on them.
Could you put them on the wall?
You can't see because of the background, but my walls are covered with games.
No, Joe, could you mount those things on a wall?
You could, but I mean, the counters, you would have to get like these special.
Because some people do magnetized counters, or they do the sleds that they put them in there. Yeah.
This is a easy solution. Sometimes you want to play 2 games at the same time. Sure. I'm tired. I'm gonna play one of Greg's games. Sub campaign 2. So you pull that one out, or then you want to play your big game. You pull that one out. And so you can get. There's 3 by 4, which will accommodate most configurations of 2 maps. I say most because if you put them side by side, like an Africa game, probably won't fit. Yeah. But most of them will fit. And then there's the size, which is a 24 by 36, which will accommodate a regular size map. So, and you can get them there. They're all over the place in Amazon, and it's wonderful. I got like 3 or 4 of those.
What's it called? Just like a metal tabletop, or?
It's like a metal. It's a magnetic metal surface. But they're pretty light. They're not heavy or anything. Some have a white side and a black side. And they work both. Others, the back side is not. You can't use the back side. But there's all kinds of there. And then they go like maybe $30, $40, $50, maybe the most expensive, the 3 by 4. So they're not that expensive.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look those up because I've already got a bunch of magnets. I use them for my minis, magnetizing the minis. So I've already got those. Might as well just get the little tabletop. It'd be better than what I'm using now. See, Stuka's great for new ideas, man. I'm telling you.
Next gen wargaming, magnetic counters, put the map on the wall and play. Yes, actually, some people do that for various reasons. They don't have the room. It's easier to put it up on a wall, or maybe they want to have multiple games going. One can go on the wall, one can go on a table.
Well, look,
like this one now.
Killway says. Hold on.
Killway says, look at the ad copy.
Killway. Killway.
Think it was Stuka.
Go ahead. Get out of your system.
Go ahead.
No, what I was saying is that there are some war games out there that are so big that it almost makes it unplayable. Like what's that name? The Atlantic Wall, right? I only set the map for that one up once, and it covered the entire floor in my spare bedroom. Right, so something like that you've got to put on the wall. There's no table that's going to fit that. You're not going to be able to set the damn thing up.
Yeah.
Now I'm a firm believer, and that's what I'm going to say it again. Doing videos of war games, okay, it takes some work, but I think that now it is the easiest. It's easier than ever. And I said that like 2-3 years ago when I showed how I film videos. But it's easier than ever, especially if you have an iPhone, something like an iPhone, and because in the applications, I go to in the train to my work every day. When I film a video the day before, I'm editing the video in the phone, adding with the press of a button. I add the same dissolve transition to all the clips. Then if I then I can switch it to another one if I need to. But it's that easy.
Wait,
It's
you're
very,
saying with
very
one
easy.
button press you can hit to where every transition split
Yeah,
has.
I can demonstrate and show you guys. That's why I put you think I put that Napoleonic 20 game to show you the Napoleonic 20 game? No.
No, go for it. Let's see it.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Let me go.
See the magic as it happens.
Okay.
Only here on Whiskey Charlie do you get a peek behind the curtain with the Wizard of Oz.
Let me bring this thing over here.
Now, if there's like a one button press to do something like that, I would lose my mind because I've been doing it manually for years.
Yeah, I have too.
Well, you don't use the same program I do, right? Because I
No,
use Premiere.
Editing's editing.
Yeah,
Okay,
what do you
so-
use?
To add Power Director. So when you're using transitions, I actually time my transitions because I have certain times that I'll use for different transitions. So
Okay. So we're here at the studio, right? I got the table here, and just to show you what I have on the table, okay, this is the Napoleonic 20 game. This camera is called the Link 360 Smart Cam. It's not really that smart, but it works nice. You can program the angle. So if I want to give it another angle, if I want to zoom in, I have that zoom in angle there. So there you see the map, how it's laid and everything. But what I use is this the magic really is this. This is a 3-slider system. This is a 60-inch slider, metal slider, very sturdy, which is connected to a 30-inch slider here on the side of the table. And also there is another slide on the other side that you see over here. This is the other slide here. So this allows me to rotate, to get any angle that I want, basically. So this is the camera, the iPhone here, and I have it on a fluid head. And all this, I mean, the fluid head is not expensive, maybe 75, but it's nice to give you fluid movements, right? And this is what I move the camera around to any angle that I want. If I'm going to record an edited video, I use a specific program, which I will show it to you guys. You film like 5 seconds, you hit the pause button, then you move the camera to the other side, unpause, continue speaking, and so forth, and then you hit the stop button, and you have like a 20-second clip with 4 or 5 different camera angles. So this is basically what I use. If you follow Scylla Blitz, he's done this also. He's using the 3-slider system. Because the great thing about this is that the camera doesn't get in the way of playing the game. You have to still play the game and enjoy it in order to be able to film something that is worth watching. And if you have like a bulky camera with a tripod and you have to put the tripod here, you knock down something, your cable knocks on something, it's gonna be a pain. This, you can do it on a regular table. This slide costs about maybe $125, $130. Each of these slides cost maybe $100 more. And these ones are bolted to the table, but these bring some legs that are very sturdy. You can just put it on top of any table and it works great. This is ultra smooth. And let me just switch to the camera here so you see here. And the movements are pretty smooth. And you can zoom in with the camera, zoom out. So this is what I use. And let me show you guys the camera program that I'm using. Just a second. Let me because right now this camera program, you have to have a clean HDMI output. Not all these camera programs for the iPhone have it. This one does. This one's called Cinema P3 Pro Camera. So I'm going to turn off the the HDMI, clean HDMI out so that you can see all the reticles and everything. So let's see, let's get back to the camera. Okay, let me see, let me get it back on here. Let me see if we can see it. Okay, let's see, come on. There you go. This is what I see when I'm filming, okay?
Cool.
So, okay, right here is the sound. So here I normally connect a microphone there. So that's the input, the sound input. And here is, I have it set up with this telescope that you see in the bottom here. This is like the zoom. This is really cool because you can program the zoom. And for instance, right now I'm at the ×1, but if I want to be real close, I can, or closer, I hit the ×2 and it instantly takes you to that ×2 zoom. And if you want to zoom even closer, and notice that I'm using those lines that you see, horizontal and vertical lines as guides. So I have that unit here in the crosshairs. Where is it? It's this one here, this cavalry unit. We're now at the ×2 camera lens. Now we're gonna hit the ×3 lens. And there it is, see? So now if I wanna say, okay, let's take a look at the situation of the whole army. There you have it. And the way you film with this in a very easy way is I'm going to hit the record button and I start talking. I go, and here's the situation at 10 a.m. And I hit that pause button. So now I paused, and let's say I want to talk about this specific a unit that is on this left flank here. So, and now I'm going to unpause it. And what's the name of that unit there? Kellerman. Kellerman. So I go, and Kellerman has just rested his cavalry near Floaters. And I hit that pause button. And then I'm going to talk about the Emperor, who's back here in Hex 1310. The Emperor has just arrived. And I paused again. And then you have Ney, which is on this side of the screen. He's finally arriving. Ney has finally arrived. And then now I'm going to show the Prussians that are, Ney's too late, but it may be that Ney is just a little too late. Ooh. And then I'll end up this take. And notice here, do you see this is a 20-second clip right now. Okay, and then I say, and I'm going to end it with, so the Duke of Wellington will have to fight it out with the vanguard French forces for now. So I hit the pause button. Now I'm going to stop the recording and hit the stop button. Okay? So now what I do is I'm going to hit that play button here. Let's see if we can see it here. I don't know if we're going to have the audio from here, but you're going to see how these scenes change. So I hit it switches there. You don't have the audio because the audio is not connected.
Yeah. We get the flipping between scenes, and then you do your auto transition insertion there.
For that, it's very easy to do, of course. And this is the crude video. This is one clip that is going to go to the editing program, right? And the editing program is called VLLO, which is this one. Which there's a few, but this one is very nice. For example, new project, and we're gonna insert a. Let me insert a blank scene. Okay, that you choose the aspect ratio there, 16:9. Create project, right? So I've created the project. And then I'm going to look for the media clip. Let's see if I can pull out that same media clip. This one, 29 seconds. I think that's the one. Let's put that one there. So I've loaded it on the timeline. And that one, for example, here you see, this is the one that has the audio. And this is just one clip. If I add another clip, I would add it after that dot there that you see there, the dot. And so you just, here I would change a transition. I can put like a dissolve, fade black, but it has, you see, it has dissolve in the bottom. And then I can, if I had more than one clip, it has a function that you can add it to all the clips. So basically, that's the editing software. It's very, very easy to use. It's something that, I mean, I still use for the last 6 years. I still use that VLLO, so I'm very happy with it.
So you don't use Power Director as much anymore?
No, I used Power Director was for the computer. I do my editing here. I send it to my computer. There I add the intro and the outro, do some text. Now I use DaVinci Resolve. I used to use Power Director until maybe a year and a half ago. And
Is that
DaVinci
your
Resolve
music going off? Is that your music going off? Is it your phone?
No, that's me. Friggin' Johnny Grogan is sending me a bunch of pictures right now, and I'm trying to hit the stop.
Turn it off,
dude.
Stop! We're on TV. We're live.
Sorry, man.
So that's all you use is your camera, huh? I mean, your phone for the camera.
I just use this camera that you see here.
Mm-hmm.
See
the one up top.
That's for everything on the map. It's just the camera. It's just the same camera. Now let's go to the live stuff that you were talking about, because that's the one things I've been working more recently, which I find fascinating, because I think there's a great opportunity to do some live streaming of wargaming with production value. So for that, let me show you what I use here is this thing. I have my let me get back with just a second. Let me get my camera back to HDM out clean. Just a second, because you're gonna see all those controls and reticles, and it's kind of distracting.
Well, those grids, for people who are not familiar with the grid system, which is what you saw those lines that Joe was showing, those are really crucial when you're trying to line up shots in a situation like this. That's how you can use that as a reticle to get a target and then zoom in real quick.
Yeah. So let me see if it works now. Here we are. This is the Stream Deck. Okay. What is the Stream Deck? The Stream Deck is a programmable controller, 32 buttons, which you assign to do whatever you want them to do. So for example, this one here is my live shot. We're in this one right now, which allows me to film the camera moving. Now, this one is a zoom. The same live shot, but with a zoom. Okay? So I'm going to hit this one to go back again here. And I have these ones here, which have like, this zooms in a half second. And I have the zoom out in a half second. And I have them by different seconds. And the reason for that is sometimes live, well, I'm going to talk about a topic, right? And so I'm going to zoom out for 15 seconds and say, well, the French army has arrived, but their forces are not in strength. And I go blah, 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 blah. For 15 seconds, I have this zoom out. So it gives interest to the scene, because you have movement. Every time you have some movement, very subtle, it retains viewer attention there. So we have also the ones that do the trick for me are these frozen controls there. These are the ones that allow you to freeze the camera from. So I hit the button, and you see it froze there, and then I hit the yellow button and it unfreezes. And what that allows you to do in a wargaming video is, for example, you see that cavalry there. It's going to move to hex 2308, and from there to 2307, and then it's going to get into a battle with the Prussian cavalry. Then now if we want to talk, we can zoom in for 10 seconds, and we can talk about the odds, talk about all that stuff, and it's going to be 1-to-1 or whatever. So now we're going to go to resolve combat, and it's going to freeze automatically at the end of the 10 seconds. So by then I've moved the camera to the combat results table, and I was able to get a program that adds digital dice. I don't have to pull real dice, because when you have real dice, you roll them and they fall everywhere except where you want them. Right? So let's say I have to roll a die. I roll one die, and it's a digital die. Oh, you can't see it. There it is. Okay, a 3. Let me roll it again. Oh, and it's a 5. So Take it out, and there's a whatever result you call the result, and then you apply the result here. Let me freeze again. Let's say that the Prussians had to retreat, so we move them back one space, and that's how you do all that live with these controls. And I really enjoy it. I'm still getting the hang of it because it's something that takes some practice, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
That definitely sounds really cool. And I have a Stream Deck. I got one, I think it was last year. It was like Black Friday sale, so I got a 15 button one. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll use that for doing some live stuff, because I've got a pass-through 4K capture card that I can use to do live, because I have my camera here. See if it shows up. This is what I use. I use a Sony Handycam, and instead of using a camera phone, I just use a regular Handycam, but I'm using it all on a static tripod, and so I'm limited to just that, which is the difficult thing when it comes to doing a playthrough. That's why I don't do any live playthroughs really or anything like that. I've shot a couple of playthroughs, and it was difficult to be comfortable, because I was always like, okay, how am I going to move this without bumping the tripod and hitting the camera and stuff like that? I work around it when I'm shooting an unboxing or doing a review, because it's more static. But when you're doing something dynamic, like you're talking about, moving around and then moving cameras, I don't have the capability to do that right now. And I don't have the room to add in all these things, which I'd like to do, but I'll have to wait till I retire.
It's all, if you start with a 3-slider system, you get used to it very quickly to move the camera around, and it becomes, you do it without thinking. This is done all with OBS. That's the Open Broadcast System. It's free, but it has a learning curve. But let me show you one of the latest things I have. You know, sometimes you want to talk, you want to switch between scenes, but you want to make it quick, even quicker. So let's say I have, let me show you, these 3 buttons, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. It's almost like they allow me to take a picture. And sometimes, like we're talking about a combat situation, like the one we had here, right? So what I would do is I assign frame 1 to that combat situation, and then we show the combat result in frame 2, and I press the frame 1 button, and it returns there, and I have to say something about the situation here is that the attack is going to go forward, and then I hit again the combat results table, so I can switch between those 2 pictures, which is without moving the camera. The camera is still in the same place.
Yeah.
And if I need like a third, I can assign frame 3. So Napoleon will not interfere, whatever, blah, blah. Here's the situation. Here's the combat results table, and here's Napoleon. So it's a really nice, cool feature that this system had. But it's like everything, it takes practice. So I'm trying to move from the simpler games to the more complex, and but it's I have a lot of fun with it, because it's something that you don't expect to see live, you know.
See, now the only other thing you need now is you need a telestrator, so that way you can show the CRT, and then you can write on it. You can be like John Madden. You can be like, yeah, Napoleon thinks he's going to take him out, and boom, just like that, he's out. I think it'd be kind of funny.
Okay,
there we go with that.
Let me show you another thing. Wait. Okay.
Watch, he's going to do it now.
Yep.
There is another program called Shoot, which has we're now filming through Shoot, and Shoot has a specific feature that, for example, where is Napoleon? Well, there he is. He's right there. See, so I could write arrows and stuff like that. I mean, it's try not to move the camera, but
yeah, that would be the only. So you can't have like stock ones where you have them saved, like pre-saved.
Oh, that would be nice if I can put like arrows. Yeah, that would be nice. But so far, but this one allows you to do that to draw lines. Like, let me see here. I can draw a line here. So it's functional, but that's the one that let me get back to the other one, which is the one that I use here. Okay, here we are. So this is $7. The Cinema $7 or $15 Cinema P3, and it's for iPhone only, and it's wonderful. And the VLLO, I think it's $15. So it's really inexpensive, of course, but if you can get the dice program. Okay, let me see the dice program. Let me get it. Let me just show it. It's in the internet. I got a sheet here. Let me show it. Now, the dice program is called Bee's Dice Roller.
Nice.
Okay, and this one's free. You can't do custom dice though, but you can do dice of you can assign the sides, the number of sides. For example, like you can roll. Let's roll. I don't know, 8 or 4 10-sided dice.
John, that's really creepy, John, that you were looking at Joe's emails. That's cool. That's pretty neat.
Okay. Now this is this is not an email. It's just the sheet that comes from when you download the program. You can.
Sure.
So it's you learn by trial and error. So the digital dice are nice because you don't have to interrupt to get a dice tower or anything. You just roll the digital dice and it works great. So
nice.
So that's basically how I film the videos.
Man, it's amazing how much he can do, like right there as he's filming it. Because all of this stuff that he's talking about is stuff that I do in post. Mm-hmm. So I have to, film it just as a straight static video, and then go in the editing program and add all that crap in. And it takes forever. And he can do it at the push of a button. Man, I'm super jelly right now.
Well, that's the thing too. You can get titlers and stuff like that where you can make your live presentation more engaging by posting up different things. You can have them pre-plotted in there, preloaded. Napoleon strikes. And you can just say, okay, here's the attack, and then boom, you throw that up there, so it adds a little more personality to the video. And it seems like you got a big production team, and it's just you.
Yeah, it's just me. I mean, yeah. I have a bunch of preloaded stuff that I use in the channel. Let me just play you a 3-second one to see if you recognize it. See if I can get the page where it is. Okay.
I thought we were going to be talking. This is a tutorial.
Let me get it. I know it's somewhere around here.
Meandering Mike says, Stuka Joe, the master of live content.
Dude, if I'd known we were going to get this much information, I would have charged for a mission.
Where is he? I wanted to play. I can't find him.
Kurt says, if I started streaming creating content, that might be the proverbial final straw with my wife. That's why my wife has a lot of shoes. She's like,
my wife's talking about a 5th kid. And I'm already on the final straw. Whoa. She's like, we could have another. I could die too.
We could have $1 million too. I mean.
I'll find it here.
Sure.
Am I the only one that's looking on his wall? Like, what kind of goodies does he have back there?
No, you're not at all. Because we had this one here. Do I see Great Battles of History Hoplite on Stuka Joe's shelf?
Oh, God, I want that one.
Yes, this I agree with right here. You need to add weather into your live streams.
Yeah. See if you recognize this.
Is that his GMT wall back there?
Didn't hear any audio. Is that Charles?
No, that's Jack Rady.
Jack Rady, okay.
Yeah.
It looked like Charles.
Okay, that's Jack Rady. He wrote in the rule book for what is it? His big Eastern Front game, the Korsun Pocket.
Yeah.
Don't be a schmuck. You know that rule.
Yes.
The number 1 rule.
Don't be a schmuck.
Yeah.
Is that RAID or is that ASL?
What?
Okay, everyone's gonna stare at
his wall.
Joe's wall of games.
I see Stalingrad back there.
Okay, let's a tour here. Okay, let me give you a tour here.
Do you divide by publisher?
More or less, yeah. I have,
Yeah.
you see at the right there, that's Hollandspiel. There, that's all Hollandspiel. And White Dog also.
Oh, Starship Troopers, nice.
Then you have here in the bottom, what do
Academy?
you call it? Academy.
Yeah.
And some odd game that has to fit somewhere. You know, you got to fit some stuff. Then you have some Avalon Hill there. And I have some games I have more than one copy.
Oh shit.
So these are Avalon Hills. France 1940 was my first game, so I still have it, the one. And now I'm putting like these are from Snafu. These are a Spanish publisher. I put them like in the front, but they're behind those are the Victory games, more Avalon Hill games. And
GPS.
the bottom one you have there,
RAF, good one. Yeah.
those are Clash of Arms, and there's some other Clash of Arms mostly. And then you have the old Avalon Hill flat boxes there.
Tactics
Long
too.
Day.
And you have some, I call it Revolution box games, because Revolution I have them in a box. In somewhere else, the games that come in bags. You have some Compass, and you have some Canvas Temple Publishing.
Oh, you gotta take that Stellar Horizons out of the shrink.
No, I actually I did a sweepstakes the other day that people could choose between Stellar Horizons, Pacific War, and Sniper Elite. You know who the winner was?
Pacific War.
Eric from Eric's table. He chose Pacific War. So,
Yeah.
Nice.
so this is Compass section. More Compass there.
Yeah.
Let me zoom out here. I'm never going
lot
to
of
finish here. There you see the decision games. There's some glare, but those are.
D-Days.
D-Day
Yeah.
Hat series. Yeah.
You have some more decision. Avalon Hill in the bottom. And
D-Day, Tarawa.
you got SPI over here. You got some Flying Pig here. More Avalon Hill. Then you have the games from different publishers all over here. These are European publishers. Spanish, Phalanx over there. Here, that's the Sniper Elite that was also available, but they didn't select it. We have some games of different publishers, and here you have the GMTs. Start there.
What did you think of Sniper Elite?
I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, yeah, I tried it.
When I received it, I said, it's a good game that I want to give away. Probably, I don't know. I don't see myself playing it alone. The solo, apparently the solo system's not that great. That's what I've heard. I've seen people doing videos about the solo system, and it's not that great. So basically that's, and of course I got the piano over here. So
Nice. So is there hidden information in that Sniper Elite where you can't play it solo that well?
I guess there is. Yeah, I think there. Oh, and I never showed this part. This is the Roger McGowan poster section, and they are signed, dedicated to Stuka Joe. You see the signatures there.
Yeah, nice.
No kidding. That's one hell of a collection.
My son wanted to take the Twilight Struggle poster. I said, over my dead body. No.
Is your son into wargaming?
Well, not really, but we play a lot Twilight Struggle. His college graduation present that I gave him, among some others, was, do you see it there? That wooden box there.
Collector's edition.
That is the collector editions for Twilight Struggle. So he said, no, let's not touch that. I said, I agree. So we got our play copy for Twilight Struggle, and we have the posters that we have over here. So there's the posters are there, and there's my computer, desktop there, and that's basically. I have all the magazine games.
Wow, you even have an editing
in that storage over there, and another place. So.
Nice. So you have an editing deck that you use for your video editing, huh?
What? I'm sorry?
An editing deck?
Oh yes, I pass the videos when I do them in the iPhone. I make one long clip. I pass it to the editing software in the computer, and then I add text and I add some more stuff there.
Nice. I just use a mouse and keyboard. I am so low tech when it comes to that stuff.
Oh no, that's not an editing. I have the for what do you call it, for DaVinci Resolve. I have the editing deck, but I haven't used it yet. That's
Okay.
that's what's called an ATM Mini Pro. That's a mixer. It mixes my camera that I have behind the desk and these ones that are here. So
Nice.
And I could spend a year in that room, just that room, and never get bored.
All you got to do is leave a really big box of crayons. He'll be good. He'll be fed and entertained.
You act like you're not a crayon eater.
Oh no, I am. But that's really cool. Seeing all this technology that you've harnessed and that you use for live presentations, and that's what's so engaging. And it's also the thing that people don't realize why you're not cranking out content every other day. Because
my goal is to eventually crank a lot more content. I think I've settled down as to my edited video flow, and I'm just doing I'm doing a live show now in Spanish. We started last week. Instead of 1 hour, it went 2 hours. It was just too long. But I'm going to do a live show on Sundays at 4 p.m. is for it's in Spanish, and then at 9 p.m. in English. And I figured I'm going to do on the same day because I'm going to be showing probably the same game. So it's the only way to stay sane.
Easy to do it. Yeah, exactly. Now you just need to have the person that does sign language in the bottom corner as you're explaining it. Then you have everything covered.
Yeah, the life thing is really, it's a challenge on itself. You guys know, you know how bad dead time is. You got to fill in, and things go wrong, and the audio malfunctions, the camera just dies on you, stuff like that. So it's boring. It isn't.
I've done one. I tried doing a live playthrough of a game. No editing, just me filming it and playing it. And I had the wife with me on that one. And it was so bad, we ended up having to delete it and just refilm it as a recorded video, edit it, and put it up. It just did not work.
Yeah,
the best of luck to you. Good luck.
Thanks. Yeah, it's an acquired taste, this live thing. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, like we got here. Todd was saying about you could charge admission for this info. Well, you guys don't know yet, but we've signed a secret deal. We're going to be doing a learn to video with Stuka Joe.
Dude, you're not kidding. I got a lot of.
It would be a good idea.
No, listen. I always tell everybody, if you're interested in, I'm an open book. Mm-hmm. Zilla Blitz told me, how do you do those camera angles? I said, it's a 3-slider system. He uses it, and now he has 10,000. What? He's going for 11,000 subscribers, and he says it reduced by half the time to produce a video because you imagine, Mo, you move the camera, boop boop, you saw it, dunk dunk, you just press a button, you have all that, then you edit it, and it's very simple. The great thing about the cellular phone is that it is the less intrusive way of recording videos, and then you have at the same time the largest monitor, because the cell phones are all one complete side is the monitor.
Yeah.
So if you buy a DSLR camera, it has a little flip monitor, and it's tough. With a cell phone,
yeah.
It's a breeze, and the cell phones, every time they come up with these applications, just amazing, everything that you can do.
It's a lot of fun. You're getting a 4K camera. You're getting the ability to store all your digital footage, right? And then most of them, like you say, have editing programs built right into it. Mm-hmm. It's like, why pay for a high-end camera when you already have the high-end camera? It's already filming in high definition. And not to mention the fact that it's hard now to get cameras that will record past 30 minutes anyway.
I can tell you why, because these things get full of a lot of other junk. That's why.
But the thing is, in the end, we're not filming really anything that moves. See, this is not sports broadcasting. Well, Mo, hockey, you have to have those high definition resolution frames per second to get hockey to see where the puck is. Here, we create the illusion of movement with those dissolve effects.
Yes.
That dissolve effect, you saw that when I move the counter from hex to hex, I have OBS programmed that between each press of a button, there is a transition with a dissolve. So you see, it creates the illusion that it's moving, but you create it and you control it. And it's really, for me, the most fun about the hobby is actually filming and putting together and seeing it come together. It's really fun.
Yeah, that part is really fun. And when it comes to the broadcast stuff, primarily, I prefer when we just do the live stream stuff that we do, where the camera work is handled by other people. We just concentrate, which gets very busy. We just concentrate on the production, me and the play-by-play guy. We do the production ourselves, where we're basically running the board, we're running the spots, we're watching everything's not piled up too high, and changing volume levels for different feeds and things like that. So there's a lot of bouncing around with your hands doing that, but it becomes second nature. Now, some of our games are televised on local television here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I like that better because all we do is, okay, we're going live in 3, 2, 1, boom, and then we just start talking, and they're like, okay, we're out, boom, and we shut up and we turn off everything. That one's easier because then it's left to the engineers for the TV station to handle. We don't have to worry about none of that stuff.
And the thing is, the other thing that is new for me is, I go to the Bellota Con in Spain every year. Mm-hmm. So this time I took a thing that is called what's the name of the thing? It's like a little box, the YOLO box, that it is a decoder and a mixer, and I have a camera on the YOLO box, and I have a second camera like on a tripod. So when I land on a table with a game, I use the camera with a tripod. When I'm walking around the tables, I use the smart cam that I show you that I have. And it's a lot of fun too. And you do those live. I did 15 hours of coverage at the Bellota Con. 15 hours. You know how many edited videos I did? Zero edited videos. 15 minutes of coverage. And no, wait a second. I actually did some edited videos, but they were very, very, very short. But it's something that I enjoy going. People tell me, "Did you play any games at conventions?" I say no, because if I play games, I don't film anything, and then you guys don't see anything. But for me, that's the hobby. For me, is trying to capture that a convention and people having fun and what's new, what's coming up, and get it close too. Show the detail.
Do you mind if I ask? Because you don't get on camera very often, right?
No.
Usually you're behind the screen. So when you go to these things, do people recognize you by voice? Like, do they pick up on who you are?
Yes, most people recognize me by voice, and lately I'm on the live stream, so they recognize me because of live streams. But most people when they start hearing oh, you're Stuka Joe, and sometimes I have a shirt like this. Oh, you're the Stuka Joe guy.
Gives it away too, yeah.
Yeah. So that's something.
Yo, I'm a fan of his too. Well, that's me.
The convention thing is a lot of fun. I mean, covering a convention, but the thing is, probably you learn most. Some people don't mind that you just butt in with your camera and ask a few questions, but other people mind. They're doing that move they prepared for the last summer, and you just come in. Hey, can I film out here for 15 minutes? They're not very happy.
No, you're right.
I would make a joke and say, as long as you don't break, give me bad mojo on my dice rolls. Not that it's going to matter, because my die rolls suck anyway, but.
I had once at Consumer World Expo. One guy said you have to take that out that you filmed. I cannot be filmed here. And I'm going, shit. What is this, a spy or something? What the hell? And I had to delete that whole video. And that was the video that I was with John Kranz and we were having a good time. That never came out. I'm going, damn it.
Legally speaking, you don't have to delete that. You don't need his permission. If he's in a public area or a publicly accessible area.
Yeah, but I mean,
you don't have a
yeah, but if someone doesn't want it, you just, out of respect.
I know, probably.
No, that's fine. I wouldn't. You could just cut them out, though, without having to, actually delete the whole video. Don't lose everything.
No, but the YouTube editor thing is not like a regular editor. It
terrible.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
You basically have to take a chainsaw to do brain surgery when it comes to the YouTube editor compared to a regular editor.
No, I figured later what I would have done is put it on private, switch it to unlisted, get home, then download it, and then publish it later without that part. But it didn't come to mind, and I deleted it. And afterwards, I said, "Damn it! I should have done it that way." But live and learn.
What, did he insist on you deleting it, like right there?
Yeah, he said, I can't be shot on camera here. I'm sorry, you have to delete that. And what the hell, man?
Really?
Yeah, there's no expectation of privacy if you're in a public area or public.
Yeah, I know. But
Next time me and Mo come with you, we'll bodyguard you.
I'm not gonna.
If somebody says just don't put that video up, I'm just not going to put their video up. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to say, listen, buddy, you're in public. I'm not going to be a jerk.
No, once a designer said, no, I don't like the. I said, no problem. This was an edited video. Okay, here, look, delete.
In other words, he doesn't want his
one
boss
less game to cover.
He took a sick day and he didn't want his boss knowing he was there. That's what it really is.
Or his wife, or something. I don't know.
The boss.
Oh, the boss. Yeah, that's right. I don't know.
I'm going to a work conference for 5 days. It's going to be a 10-day conference. It's really long. It's really involved. And then, she sees the video. What the hell is this? Oh, well, fun thing. When I was at the work conference, they had a war game thing. And I just wandered in. This guy put me on camera. What are the odds?
Yeah.
You've been caught with a girlfriend before and the wife got upset.
Yeah.
That might actually work out better than saying you're going to a work conference and you end up at a 10-day war game conference.
Yeah. So that was that. So, but it's a lot of fun. So filming and capturing all that is fun.
So that is really fun, and it's very interesting, and definitely makes gets people engaged. Now, what do you think? To you, what is the toughest part of doing videos? Doing content creation. What is the toughest part for you?
Well, the toughest part is keeping your head organized. Because I set out myself to do something today, and I end up doing something else because I have so much stuff that I want to do, and I sometimes I get games from publishers, and I usually say yes, but I have other plans that I want to do, so they keep on getting on the back burner, and this thing about setting up the live stream in Spanish. I did a lot of filmed parts because I'm discovering a live stream can make use of things that are already filmed. That gives you a break and also improves the quality and lowers the margin of error. It's not the same you have to be live for an hour than half an hour. It's a lot easier. So I was working on that, and then you have some commitments. You have to film some games, and so it's all that. It's keeping organized. Right now, I'm still working. I am at my job. I hope to work for maybe 2 more years, and then I'll dedicate myself full time to this. So right now I'm just experimenting and trying to improve everything that I can, so that when I retire, I say, well, I'm going to do X amount of edited videos a week. I'm going to do these live streams. I'm going to do this. I'm going to travel to cover conventions and stuff like that. And so that's...
Honestly, I'm surprised you're not bigger than you are, subscriber-wise, because I've always thought of you as the top dog in the reviewer community when it comes to war gamers.
Well, I do everything that YouTube says you shouldn't do. I never say subscribe to my channel. I never put another of my videos at the end so that you watch it. The most I say is thanks for subscribing, and thanks to my subscribers. But because right now I'm focused on improving the channel. I do some unannounced live streams. I don't unannounce them because I don't know how they're going to come out. It may be just completely crap. But this is something that I like to experiment, and I like to get instant feedback from the people. And but now finally the audio issues are not as often. They don't happen as often. So, and the audio has actually improved. I've learned to put filters to the voice. It's my voice is not really that great. It's really a bunch of filters.
People don't realize how
I really speak like this.
People don't realize how a mixer board changes your voice.
Oh, yeah.
You can talk your average everyday voice, but then you get into the presentation mode where you change your tone and you have a deeper voice. You kind of speak a little more rich or whatever, and then you add the polish with the mixer, because that's how you get the nice bass. You don't have too much treble, and then you have everything exactly set the way you want it, and then your voice is always going to sound the same. And
cut out the background noise.
You cut out the background noise, like with this room I have here in this. We moved last year to this other house. There's a lot of echo in this room because it's all hardwood floor, everything. So there's a lot of bounce off these walls. I'm only here for 4 more years, so I'm not going to do a lot of work here. And then we're going to retire, get another house, and that's where I'll build the studio. But what I do here instead is in my software, I wash it through my audio director, and I will remove the reverb. I will kill out the background noise. I will just basically even everything out, and then I apply a filter for my voice to make the voice sound cleaner. So that way it presents better, because I'm not using this mic when I shoot my videos. I'm using a different mic, a lav mic. So the lav mic is totally different than what you're getting out of this mic. So you want to try to make it sound better.
That's right. I mean, the same for me. You have this lav mic, which I used to record the videos, and it has a bunch of settings that I've just been able to fine tune over time to what I like to hear. So it's people take for granted, the videos and everything, but for us, we don't live off this or have crews to set it up. It's one day of wargaming for me could be just setting up a damn microphone, and it went all day for that, and all day on that.
Well, that's the thing too. It depends on what you're trying to do. Like, Nate was saying about how, it's surprising you're not bigger, because you don't do, and you said you don't do what YouTube tells you to do about asking people to subscribe, putting a video on the end. Things like that are for people who want to build the brand, so to speak, to try to make some money on it. But there's really, even for that, when you look at the effort you put into that, and then the monetary return is just not there. It's really more ego. It's like, how many subscribers can I get? And that's fine. If that's what you want to do, great. But in the end, it's like, do you want to bust your ass like that for an extra $30 a month? It's like,
no, I'm not monetized. But my plan is, when I retire, I may open a Patreon, because there's certain type of videos that will only be appreciated by people who are really fans of you. Fans like, for example, how do I do the background music for the videos and show? So not everybody, wargamers are going to say, I don't care about that stuff. But so
you'd be surprised.
the Patreons, and I'm a firm believer, you got to give the Patreon something in return. It's not just give me your money and that's it. But but that'll do when I retire, and I don't have to report that to the federal government. So for now, that's not happening.
Got to report everything to the government.
Not taxes. It's my job. I have to report every penny that I make.
Just because of my job. John says that you're going to open up an OnlyFans.
You don't have to. Wait,
I'm a federal prosecutor. I have to file federal income taxes.
I was like, he of all people would know. That's why.
So listen, I just lost 200 fans right now, 200 subscribers now. No, but it's something that when I retire, I'll open that, and there's enough explaining that I have to do why I go to Spain every year. So
there you go. Oh, we got Nate's co-host in here.
Yes, she's going to bed. She wanted to say bye-bye. You say bye-bye? No? You're going to be distracted because I got my little cube here? Look that way, towards the camera. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Bye-bye. Buenas noches.
She looks half asleep already.
It's past her bedtime. She's got to go down.
But yeah, you can, John was saying up here about you opening up an OnlyFans account. We can have a Grognard fans account, a Groggy fans account, or something like that. But yeah, no, that would be cool. And again, it comes down to what do you do content creation for? Do you do it for yourself, or are you doing it for, if you're doing it for fame and money, get in TV, go on a reality show if that's what you want. But because it has to be a personal enjoyment thing, because there's really no benefit to it otherwise, other than helping the community, which is a big reason why we'll put out the extra effort to put out, decent content as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it really comes down to personal satisfaction, how much you enjoy doing it.
That's the bottom line. If you don't enjoy doing it, why do it at all, right?
Yeah.
So
No, it's very true.
And that explains why the game selection of my videos. Sometimes people, do a video on this game. I'm going, I don't like that game. But
Yeah, exactly.
I said, it's not in my plans now, you know.
You got to do videos on games you don't like. That way people know
No.
you don't like it.
No.
No, seriously, like if you're sent a game and you don't like it, do you just not cover it?
No, because I don't get myself into that place to begin with.
So
If somebody sends me a game, it says, they've sent me, can you cover PC computer games? And I said, listen, it's not my thing. You know, I don't do those. Can you cover this tactical game? I have a full schedule right now, which means no. So no, and sometimes I go and I call a specific company and says, that game's when does that game come out? It's coming. It's really cool. Oh, when it comes out, I'll send you a game. Great. So I try to get games that I'm interested in to be sent to me. Now I have a connection with the Spanish companies because I go to the Bellota, so they know that I'll do videos on their games. And frankly, it's not that I'm in favor of them or anything. There's a lot of very interesting games coming out because their influx comes from European games. So you see this mix of Euro mechanics and wargaming coming out, and there's a lot of interesting games coming out. I just did in my live stream, there's a Crete game called 12 Hours at Malemi. That's the Malemi airfield, tactical, asymmetric, impulse game with hexes. It's a marvelous game. It's a very inexpensive game. It comes in a folio, and it's Snafu. Snafu is the publisher. They're in Sabadell, near Barcelona. If you order one of their games, it's going to cost you, the shipping is going to cost you $15. The game probably costs 20. But if you order two of them, the shipping is the same amount because it doesn't affect the weight. So,
might as well get two.
And I've followed them since their inception. The games they're just, I mean, talk about, I'm in an age right now that I like games that do a lot with very little, and not the other way around. A lot with very little. You don't have to dazzle me with components. You have these components, they can be modest, but if the game has a lot going for it, I'm going to be interested. So
Hello, Kabuki. No, I agree with you. I actually made a video talking about that recently, that just because it's got 10,000 counters and 15 maps and player aids at the ass doesn't mean that it's a good game. It just means it's a big one.
Yeah.
And that actually means I'm less likely to bring it out. And I like it when people have tried something new, something different, and they're able to pack a fair amount of actual game into a small box. Actually,
and that's not the type of game that I would do a playthrough of either, because it would be so much.
This is just one card, right? The whole game is just one card and a handful of dice. That's how the whole game operates. But there's a lot of game actually packed into the tiny box.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I have that preference. One mappers, maybe some two mappers, but something that is, not a monstrosity in terms of components or 80 pages of rules. I got the Pacific War. Before opening it, I said, let me look at the rules online. I'm going, if I do a video on this, it's going to become the Pacific War channel because it's good. And I know it's a great game, so I said I'm gonna give it away in one of those special giveaways. So,
well, that's the thing.
You don't like monsters, then?
No, not really. Jack Rady sent me that game, and it was because it was Jack Rady, who he is, and I said, yeah, I'll do a video. And I was breaking my head. How am I going to fit this in my room? I was able to fit the table in my room, and I had to film it the old-fashioned way with a desk tripod. Be careful to not stumble into the 400 pieces of the Russian Third Army or whatever was there. Man, that was... I mean, I have a lot of admiration for people who have the patience to play these games, because I know that it's an acquired taste, and people, sometimes they dedicate years and years to just one game. But if I do that, my channel die. Any channel will die if you just dedicate it to one game. So I'm just like I just like to see what's out there, and even still I still pick what I want to show.
Well, that's the thing too. What you said right there is a good example of one of the other problems with content creation is you have to keep feeding the beast. You have to keep putting out content because, like you said, if you were to shoot KP2 for, if you were going to do a playthrough of that, or even just 2 turns, I'm going to give you a 2-turn example. It's going to take you probably a couple months to shoot it, because you're going to need to learn how to play it, then play it. And at the same time you're playing it, you're going to have to be videotaping it. And, oh, man, it didn't come out that good. All right, let's restack them. How do I have it? Okay, let's reshoot that part again because I screwed up. I knocked over a stack or whatever. So people don't realize that right there, just the shooting part and then the editing part. So, I mean, to shoot 2 turns of something like that would probably take you a couple months and then probably a couple weeks of good editing to get, I don't know, maybe half a dozen or a dozen videos, depending on how you edited it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be content for a few weeks, but look at the months of effort that went into it. And some people would like to do that, but if you want to keep your channel going, you need to keep coming out with content, which means you have to have room, you need to have tables.
Well, you don't film the whole thing.
Well, no, even if you want to do just a turn or two, it's still going to take a long time because you got to set it up, you got to learn how to play it, you got to move all the pieces, you got to explain what's going on, shoot video. All that stuff is very time consuming. So that's another reason why, people that just set up their camera real quick or set up their phone and just shoot a playthrough or something like that with no editing, no nothing, and you hear them going, and they're flipping through the rules, reading the rules, stuff like that. They're just doing it raw. And some people are really happy with that, but I think all 3 of us have the same attitude. If we're going to do something like that, we want it to be more polished. Obviously Joe takes the polish to another level and makes it a jewel, but we all want to come out with somewhat more of a finished product than just setting up a camera and shooting a video.
And let me say here, if anybody who's watching has any questions or anything that I can help, you want to know the information of these specific sliders, you can write to me at stukajoe@gmail.com. I'm an open book. Because I know I can't cover every game out there, and I like to see videos that are well produced myself. So it's I'm not keeping anything under the vest. There's very few war gamers and even fewer people who are willing to cover these war games on video. So.
See, now this I disagree with. Todd is saying, I think that's why my channel may struggle. I'm not always playing the latest and greatest. There are too many great channels doing that. No, Todd, the reason is they don't understand the mystique of the robe. That's what it is. You need to do an intro video that explains the whole mystique around the robe and why you wear the robe on your live streams. And I think that would be pretty cool to do that.
Maybe they just want to know what's under the robe.
We'll get Todd on. Him and Hexy will get him on as well because these guys play a lot of these games that are the bigger monster type games. And we've been in some of the live streams just listening to them, watching them play. We've gotten on, me and Kev have gotten on a couple of chats with them and stuff like that. These guys are just like me, just watching them play is one of those, you're hanging out with your buds on a Friday night and you're just sitting around, drinking a few beers or some whiskey or whatever. And you're listening to everybody chat and talk about war games as they're playing them. And then of course, everyone's saying, well, what are you doing that for? Why are you attacking over here? Everyone's kind of, adding in their little peanut gallery comments too, but it's fun, but it's not for everyone. A lot of people want the quick satisfaction, the quicker games, the more satisfying, here's what's happening, here's the resolution, boom, you move on. And that's another one that's hard to digest, which is why one of the ones I tried shooting a playthrough and then I screwed up of The Night, which is Night of the Living Dead from White Dog Games.
Yeah. And
I was of course, I shot the whole thing, realized my microphone was not turned on, and I was like, good job, dumbass. So I scrapped that whole thing, but
happens to all of us.
Yeah, I was happy with it because I added in some conversation between the players, like as I was doing it, and oh man, you suck, you can't hit the broadside of a barn, wise ass comments, things like that from character to character, and it didn't work out. But eventually I'll get around to shooting it again because that's a fast enough game and an easy enough game to play because it's small with just the camera setup that I have. So maybe I'll do that at some point.
But
Not
even
live.
even a monster, I learned with Corsoon Pocket. You know what I did is I filmed the extended example of play that Jack made. But the extended example of play of Jack in the rule book was just text. So it was this unit in this hex, so I had to follow it. So it was a small portion of the front, but it showed the mechanics. So even, I mean, it's doable. You can do a video on a monster game. Just don't expect to do the whole playthrough of all 3 fronts on the monster game, but take, for example, a portion just to show the mechanics. And that can be, I mean, you want to do something that, obviously that is helpful, that 2-3 years from now, people will still refer to it. So I think it can be done, but
True.
you know, it's the whole shebang that it's kind of tough to do. You know,
What's that? I'm brain farting out. The Gettysburg game that just came out.
The Most Fearful Sacrifice. The same one you always forget.
Yeah, it's the brain injury. I can't help it, dude.
Just say AMFS. That'll be the easiest one for you to remember. AMFS, a Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Anyway, that one I would call a monster, especially if you set up the entire map on that. But I ended up selecting a smaller scenario, you know, where the Confederates were pushing it from the side. And even that one, God, I think I can't remember, 8 or 9 total videos on the game, and 3.5 turns, maybe. Really not that much in the grand scheme of things, but I tried to show as many of the mechanics of the game, as much of it as I could in that period of time. But yeah, all that was 15 hours of footage edited down into, you know, a handful of videos. And that's what you have to do with any of those monster style games, especially my ultimate favorite, Thunder in the East. Did you ever try that one, Stuka?
That's up there. It's not in shrink, but it's unpunched. Another candidate for the giveaway.
Wow.
You're killing me, Joe. You're killing me.
I mean, when we have to celebrate, so what I do is that last giveaway is you pick one game, but that one of those 3 bulky, I mean, you know, expensive game. But that's not every week. That's when we want to celebrate something special. I do one of those.
Have you played much from Trafalgar Editions?
No, I played the Navíos de Línea, which is I played that at the convention, and I played also Panzer Camp.
Yeah.
But let me get some news. Trafalgar Editions. Okay, you guys are gonna have a first news here. Okay, Trafalgar Editions is coming with a game about the revolt in Madrid in 1808 when the French were in Madrid in 1808 when they took control of French Madrid. There was a popular revolt. It's called Ciudad de Patriotas, City of Patriots. So they're sending me an advance copy, and I think I'm going to do a video on that on the 11th of July. That's going to be one of those days we're going to have a live stream at 4 p.m. in Spanish, and some of my subscribers know Spanish. And then there's going to be the English one at 9 p.m., which I'm going to show the same game, because otherwise I would have to resign from my job if I show 2 different games the same. Or I'm going to mix the rules or something in my head. So, but they're coming up with that. Trafalgar Editions is coming. Trafalgar Edition has their Navíos de Línea, which is the ships, the plastic ships. That game.
You mean these?
Those, yeah. I did a video on that. Yeah.
I got Trafalgar set up on the table right now, actually.
Cool. Yeah, it's a very straightforward, very playable system.
Yeah, they actually sent me a copy of this.
Who makes this?
Oh, great.
Trafalgar Editions.
Oh, wow.
They're the same people that made Panzerkampf. They made Waterloo. Oster something. I forget.
See, now, not this one. This one right here. Nordic Maelstrom swinging for the fences. Someone needs to do a massive playthrough of all Eastern Front Series games with all the maps out at once. I will do that if you provide me with $1 million.
Well, so someone who's doing a life sentence can probably do that.
Exactly. Pay me $1 million. I don't have to work. I'm good.
There is actually one, the biggest one that I think exists. The War in the Pacific. Isn't that something like 10,000 counters and?
Yeah, there's more than a few.
Yeah, that's one I've always wanted to try just to see, you know, how far I could actually get in that game and filming it. But I'm not even sure if I would be able to actually set out all the maps that are.
Even Mark Herman says don't play the campaign.
I want to try it just to say I did it because most people don't play it, but just to say I pulled it out, I set it up, and I played at least a portion of that game.
Well, War in Europe, I opened my ping pong table, I set it up, took a photo, and it's back to the box, and there it is.
Wasn't that SPI?
SPI 1979 or something, or 1976, I think it was. Yeah.
So yeah, that's right. They had War in the East and War in the West, and then the entire the combination.
This was War in Europe, yeah.
Yeah.
I set it up. I set it up in 1939 with the Poles, everybody, and then and of course I don't have the photo anymore. I don't know where the hell that was. So.
Do you still have the game, or you didn't make the mistake of selling it, did you?
Oh, it's up there.
I would say hold on to it because that one's actually gained in value. You can't get it nowadays.
Yeah, I know. I mounted the maps. I committed that mistake.
Oh, you mounted them like permanently?
Yeah, but not GMT quality. They're not presentable in society. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's just sad.
So there goes the value of that.
Yeah.
I bought later the Decision Games edition, which probably the SPI one, which is mauled, is worth more.
Yeah.
Than
the last I saw it on eBay, it was like $400 or $500.
Yeah.
For the War in Europe.
Yeah, I stopped
it sounds
doing
like
that.
you might have butchered it though.
I did that with Terrible Swift Sword, but later I got my hands on an unmounted map, so I got Terrible Swift Sword is fine. I have the first edition. That's a lot of fun. I don't know why they complicated it so much.
So I wanted to see if there's anybody in the audience that had any last questions. Kabuki had said that she wanted a tour of your shelves, and someone had mentioned, which I was going to do, but you guys were in the middle of talking about something, but someone else already took care of it. Say, hey, that was already done. So Kabuki, you'll have to watch in syndication because we're in syndication now. You're gonna have to rewatch the thing, and you can see it goes through the entire wall, the entire room actually. So it's well worth going back through to see all of that.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
if anybody in the audience has any last questions, we definitely want to get them in now so that way we can answer them because we're going to wrap this up here shortly. Don't want to keep everybody here all night, but I want to make sure that everybody's got the questions in. If anybody has any questions here for Joe, to get them in now, or us, if you have any questions for us. We already know all the important things. Me and Gimpy both like red crayons because we're fans of cherry, and Canadian iced tea. So...
What other cool stuff you got coming up, Joe? What's next on the table besides Napoleon?
Oh, well, it's that game, Ciudad de Patriotas. I should receive it on the 5th of June, and I'm gonna also do a video and live coverage of Asalto on Madrid. That's Assault on Madrid. That's a game that originally came out in Battles magazine. So this Spanish company did a Spanish edition. They improved the map and counters and everything, so I'm going to cover that in both the English and Spanish live streams.
Nice.
So I like to cover those games that nobody hears about from Europe, and then normally I give away one of those games. So that's something to look forward to. That I'm looking forward to also.
So Jeff is asking, what is your favorite era for gaming?
He likes that sci-fi, that future tech.
I think it's my favorite era. I would say it's 20th century because it has World War II, has the Spanish. I'm a big Spanish Civil War freak. Big fan because that war it's like a freak war. It's very, very. Even that new game that came out, Land and Freedom, which gives you the Republic and each side is eating themselves up, each of the faction. That's how it was, and it's fascinating. So, I would say 20th century, World War II, before World War II. I know, Mo, you're a big modern guy. Yeah, modern.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know nothing about that, but that's basically, but really, I'm open to many kinds of war games, and in the broad sense of the definition of war games, if it can be defined. If it's a historical conflict game, I'm open to it. So I'm not. I'll cover it if it's a game that I'm interested.
Sure. And then, of course, we had really deep questions like, what is the volume of the Caspian Sea, which we're not going to answer. Google will give you that, Kabuki. I know you're being a wise ass. And then John was saying, are we going to be seeing you at WBC soon?
The thing is, WBC. No, I don't think so. That's when is that? In August?
Yeah, July, August.
The thing is, for my job, that's August and September, like the worst months. I can never travel those months. They change Compass Expo to August and September, so I can't go. They used to be in May.
World, yeah.
May is not a problem. But.
And then we have Nordic has been ejected from the chat because he asked, what is the airspeed and velocity of an unladen swallow? And Kabuki asked African or European. So he's been ejected. What games do we need to have? Christoph is asking. I know the answer to that. Whatever you enjoy the most.
Yeah, basically that's it.
Let's see if we have any last ones. 20th century, definitely an active century. I think.
I gotta say, I like that Onus Tyrannus that I've been playing recently. The card game. You know that one, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's by Dracoideas, designed by the owner of Dracoideas, and the reason Luis Hernandez funded or created Dracoideas is because he couldn't find a publisher for that game.
Are you shitting me? He couldn't find a publisher?
He couldn't find a publisher for that game, so he said, I'm going to self-publish it. So he published a more, let's say, primitive version before. Now he revamped the system, and I've heard everybody just talk wonderful because it has the best of both worlds. Miniatures without having to paint miniatures, you know?
Yeah.
Just in cards, and it works great, and it's very playable, and the cards are nice. You have leaders, and you have all kinds of stuff you can do.
It's on my table right now. I've got a playthrough going on it. They made one mistake, and I had to call them on it. They talked about morale checks, but they never actually explained how to do a morale check. They just said to do one. But it is in the example of play.
Okay.
So
but it's not in the rules.
It's not in the rules, but it does explain how to do it in the example of play. So you have to actually read every single bit of the rule book and read the examples of play to learn how to do a morale check. I mean, it's basic. If you know war games, you can figure it out. But I went through their index and every single page. I know, it's probably an innocent goof, and they'll put an errata out about it. But it says, you'll perform a morale check, and I'm like, but you're not telling me, specific, how do you do it? My biggest question is about the number. Like, does it have to be equal to or under, or is it just under? Because that part I can't find because it's not actually in the rule book. Other than that, though, you are correct. It is an excellent game, and they've done a wonderful job with it, especially the terrain expansion. Because at that point, you can have fortresses, sieges, bridges, catapults.
Did he send you both versions, the Trianus and the Onus?
He didn't send it. I backed it on Kickstarter.
Oh, you backed it up? Okay, great.
Yeah, I backed it on Kickstarter, and I got the dual pack, both boxes and the terrain expansion.
I remember covering at the BellotaCon. He was explaining it to me, and everybody in the chat was going crazy. Oh, this looks awesome, because it's you have a top view. It's even better than miniatures, actually, because you have a top view of these guys, and every guy is different. It's like they have like their own personality. Every soldier is different.
Nice.
And they have the ratings right there. I mean, talk about immersion. You get immersed because you don't have to consult anything outside. You just measure, fire, or conduct melee and all that. And everybody that I saw playing it there was having fun. So that's a good measure. When you look at the tables in a convention, you got, Mo, and people are just looking through the rules for 2 hours and with long faces.
Oh, yeah.
You go. But when they're having fun, that's a great sign. And everybody was having great fun with that game. So.
Yeah, I definitely highly recommend it. It's good.
And Nordic says, I'm big into the age of musketry, World War I, World War II, and ancients. And that is something like World War II. I love World War II as well. I mean, not just modern, but World War II. World War I started getting into a little bit more. Civil War leaves me mostly cold. which is kind of funny because the American Civil War I'm interested in, but Napoleonics I'm not. So I think it's attachment to the subject is more than in for me in that regard. I guess I'm more attached to the American Revolution than I am to the American Civil War as far as my interest goes. So I think an American Civil War game would attract me far faster than an American Civil War game. Now, a Most Fearful Sacrifice is one of those rare instances where I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool, because the system is really cool, the game is really cool, and Herman's a great designer.
And Herman, he loves chaos. I mean, with Herman, you get chaos.
Yes.
You are managing chaos, whether it's World War II, Civil War. Some people are control freaks. They want to have control of everything, and they don't enjoy that. I love the throwing it chaos. You know, soccer is the cruelest sport on the planet, because you can play a great soccer game and still lose because some freak play or something. And that's how warfare is also. You can have the best laid plans and something went wrong and you lost. I mean, it couldn't, and that's the way it is, you know. It's the way also that you react. You have to adjust your strategy of things that happen. So, and Herman does a great job with those, you know, fog, what do you call it?
The fog of war and friction.
Fog and friction of war. It's great. So,
yeah, no, he does. He does a great job with giving you that feel. And chaos is a really big part of that. A good example of that is, oh no, I totally went. I'm pulling a gimpy here. I went brain dead on it. In Magnificent Style is a good example of that. That's just really, it's push your luck, of course, but there's a lot of chaos too that happens during the game. But you're just managing it as you go, and you realize as you're playing it, you're like, man, it's just kind of almost random in a way. These things, the way some of the things do happen, and of course. Okay, yeah, if I push my luck, I can get a little further, but well, that's how it was for those guys getting across that field. Do I push my luck and not get, or do I get behind cover and not get shot at, or do I push my luck and hope that none of the rounds hit me? So in that regard, if you put your mind into that mindset, you do get yourself, wow, I'm part of Pickett's charge, and this really sucks, which is cool, and that's great design by Herman.
Yeah, it is. That's a great game too. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see if there's any other here. Okay. Why are you not attending No Quarter Con and playing? I don't know if I will or not. That's still up in the air because that's in a couple of weeks. But you guys are all about your scheduling. So when you guys hear there's a convention, you guys immediately go and you schedule your entire weekend out. I'm more of I'll see if I can make it first. And then if I can, then I'll either do a pickup game or I'll schedule something a couple days before or not. But usually by that time, you guys are all scheduled out. You guys are way more organized than I am there. So if I do go, it might be on a Saturday if I do go, but that remains to be seen. And then Ken is saying that WBC is July 22nd to the 30th this year.
I'm preparing for the trial in August.
And what's your favorite non-war game?
Well, we play Catan with the family, but doesn't mean it's my favorite number. Actually, I like sports games a lot. I watch Jester because I like sports games. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if I want to make a sports replay in my channel. Maybe one day I'll do it unannounced to see how many subscribers I lose. But but sports games, think about it, Mo. They're historical games. You have Abdul-Jabbar. You're going to play against Dave Cowens and the Celtics. That's history. Sure. So it's a war game, you know.
It's definitely a historical board game, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a historical board. So no, and actually, I have one of those Stratomatic basketball games from 1974. So that's
wow.
That's it will be. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll do one of those unannounced. Let's see how it plays live. See if it's,
the only thing I don't like about sports games. I do love sports games, but the only thing I don't like about your average sports game when you're doing a simulation of like Stratomatic or one of those is you've got to get all the seasons that you want to play. There's no just like, I don't know, like Trick Shot is a good example of a hockey game that I really enjoy. That's just generic. It's just players. It's not, it's a board game and it's a lot of dice. It's dice chucker, but it's really cool. It's got awesome little miniatures and everything. Maybe I'll play that on the channel one night because it's a fun little game to play. And the presentation is fantastic on the table. And you don't have to worry about rosters and making sure you have rosters and lines set. You just, here's your offense, here's your defense. You just move the puck up and down the ice and shoot and score. And it's a lot of fun. And you got the cool miniatures as you're moving the puck up ice that you're moving too, and stuff like that. So
you're a hockey guy, so you have to worry about lines coming in and lines coming out.
Yeah. And
I'm a basketball guy, but the thing is, maybe I can pull out something, with those digital dice. I just focus on the card of the player, roll the die, and there's the... maybe it'll work. I don't know.
I think that would work.
I
think that'd be kind of cool.
And it would move. I can switch from player to player, roll the die, and you can see the result. If they can come up with that arrow that you're talking about, that can point to the result,
and have a shot clock in the corner, so you set yourself on a 24-second shot clock. So you got to make your play.
Yeah, I think it's doable.
Yeah.
I'll try it one day.
Mo, when that comes in, though, we got to do a live playthrough of it because I'm getting the copy. I backed that one.
Which
Trick
one?
Shot.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. You got the pre-painted miniatures and everything?
No, I'm gonna paint them myself.
Oh, you got the ones you're gonna paint? See, I got them pre-painted. I was like, I don't need to worry about paint. I have so much crap to paint, and I
like paint.
Well, no, I love painting too, but I have 11,000 projects that are always ongoing, so it's hard for me to find the time to paint between day job hockey, doing the channel, which has really kind of dropped off a bit past couple months because I've been busy with other stuff, working on game projects, and it all adds up. But let's see, baseball sims. Brian is a big baseball guy. He says baseball sims are a whole different animal for me. I'm a sucker for the seasons. Well, baseball is also a big stats game.
Mm-hmm.
So that really does work for people who are going to be baseball fans, are really going to get into the stats a lot more. National Pro Hockey. Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that one. Now I want to check it out. Throw an elbow, kinetic combat. There you go.
That's what they should do, is a board game version of like Mutant League Hockey or Mutant League Football.
That would be kind of funny.
A board game version of that, I think, would sell pretty well.
That would be pretty cool. So what do you got coming up on the channel that you haven't already talked about, Joe?
Well, on the channel, it's I'm going to be live streaming on the 11th. No, wait, actually, I'm going to try to live stream this Sunday. I have a game that I received from a Polish publisher called Albuera. So if I finish reading the rules, I'll live stream this Sunday. If not, then the next one is going to be on the 11th. And that on Sunday would be in English.
Nice.
So
that'll be cool.
That's what's coming up.
What about you, Nate? What do you got coming up?
Just what I was telling Joe. I've got Trafalgar editions, or not editions, Trafalgar, the Battle of Trafalgar that I'm working on now. Big ship game, something like 60 ship minis in that one. I've already started filming it, and more of Onus Tyrannus. I'm going to put Bitter Harvest on the table after that, and then forget what the other thing I have set up. There's another one I've got on the queue to be done as well.
Nice. Well, I got a couple of reviews I got to catch up on that I'm way behind on. A couple that are way behind. Hopefully we'll get to those soon. But this week is going to be the Uka week. I got Stuka tonight, Stuka Joe here on Whiskey Charlie, and then on Saturday we got the guys from VUCA. We're going to have them on, and we're going to be talking about Red Strike. So that's one I'm real excited to see coming out from them here pretty soon. So we'll be talking about that game, showing some art, things like that, because they have the finished art, the final art, everything is ready to go. So we'll be looking at that and talking in depth on that game with Yves and Patrick. So that should be a lot of fun. It'll be Saturday afternoon, and I believe we're going to be going at 1 o'clock because it'll be like 8 o'clock their time. So it should be a lot of fun. And anybody who wants to hear more about Red Strike, come check it out. I'll be advertising it on the channel here probably in the next day or two.
Great.
So if no one else has any last questions, which it looks like we've got all the questions in, want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And of course, want to thank our special guest, Stuka Joe, and the great information that you provided, the awesome tour of the studio and your games and all of the information you share. Really appreciate that, because I know it inspires a lot of people, and it gives a lot of people a lot of insight into the creative process, and also some tips on what they can do themselves.
Sure. Thank you, Mo, and thank you for inviting me, Mo and Nate. It's great to be with you guys. I always enjoy here being in Whiskey Charlie.
You were one of our first guests when we first started about 4 years ago, and here we are 4 years later having you back on. It took too long. We got to get you on more often, that's for sure.
Okay, whenever you guys want, it's a pleasure.
Will do. All right, well, thanks a lot, everybody, again, for tuning in tonight. Really appreciate it, and we will see you on the next one next month. Have a great night, everyone.